I'm TOKIMONSTA. I'm a producer slash live performer slash people call me a DJ because they don't know what else to call me. But from LA, I'm a part of a crew called Brain Feeder. Recently signed to a label called Ultra. I make beats, very eclectic kind of music. You know, where do you draw the line between what a DJ and a live performer is now? Because before it was just like, okay, you know, I do my set on Ableton, I break up all my tracks into individual stems, you know, or I mean, I'll group them, so like, you know, bass and drums and main melody lines, synth lines, more like live remixing, because then that way you have the opportunity to mix in, you know, existing beats, your friends' beats, do fun mashups with your songs and other people's, you know. If you want to, then suddenly you can DJ, because I will DJ at points where I will mix in a song. That's what a DJ does. I started off as a producer, and then it's only within the last 4 or 5 years that I was performing live. In the beginning, I was producing off Fruity Loops. It's like slightly underrated, but I think there's a lot of functionality in it, and I guess the process flow was something that really appealed to me. But now I produce almost solely in Ableton. I feel like it has a bit of a sound character, like the algorithms or the sound quality always has this Ableton sound. And I know when someone makes a beat on Ableton.
For sure.
So, you know, it's really important to do like the right amount of processing to your audio to make it sound like it's not just an Ableton beat. The same thing with Fruity Loops, you know.
Yeah.
So I always run things through like analog gear, or I'll use analog synths and stuff like that. Mix it in with VSTS. Absinthe by Native Instruments is my go-to. The sounds you can make on it at least have a little bit more of a warmer sound versus like something like Massive, which is a little bit more dynamic, but not as warm. You know, I was a really half-ass classical pianist. I mean, I was classically trained, but I wasn't super dedicated. You know, I was forced by my mother to learn piano. The thing for me is I take from classical training what I enjoy, which is, you know, maybe how melodies are constructed, but I don't take from it things like strict rules about, you know, how things have to be played. There is kind of like a joke in my family where I would never finish an entire piece. I only like certain parts. Like if there's like several movements, I only like one movement. I only like one portion of it. That was my first step into sampling, was picking and choosing parts that I thought were melodically beautiful. I think a lot of times when you're a classically trained musician, you have to basically ditch the rules, think outside the box, you know. If you feel as though you can't do something just because you were taught it wasn't supposed to be like that, that's not true, you know. Not everything has to have a verse, a bridge, and a melody, or, you know, so on and so forth. Well, if I'm doing a remix that's mostly focused on vocals, usually I like to strip away most of the instrumental and retool it, because, you know, that's where the classical music training comes in. You realize one melody can have so many different kinds of chord progressions. It can be in a different key. I usually try to make it very different from the original. If it's really soft, I'll try to upbeat it a little bit more. If it's mellow, or if it's really upbeat, then I'll try to find a way to make it more soulful or more obscure, or just a different angle, because, you know, if you're doing a remix, you should make the song different. I usually don't do too much editing to vocals, so if the song is all the same, what you build around it will always be an appropriation of the original song. I'll do interesting things with the vocal. You know, I would duplicate parts of the chorus and pitch it up by 7 or by down. Like, I'll basically create harmonies within that. Everything that I make that's a remix like that, I always like to put it out for free. SoundCloud.com/TOKIMONSTA, very simple. For younger producers, the biggest piece of advice is to make your own sound and try not to sound like someone else. Because at the end of the day, when people listen to your music, you want them to be like, oh, this sounds like you. Because a lot of people are scared to sound like themselves, because they might think it's too weird for people, but weird is better. I think weirder is better. Yeah, you know, be you, and like you might create that next new sound. You know, every genre that exists started with that one person to make it.